Real successful people are the ones who don't even bother about the obstacles because they know exactly what they want. Maxime Lagacé. And my friends, hopefully you know exactly what you want, and that is how to follow stock charts accurately. First, how to determine what charts can actually be followed, and then to follow those accurately, to find trends and follow them to success. Let's jump into these charts and see where they lead us. We see everything up for the day but Bitcoin. Bitcoin down, not a lot for Bitcoin, 1.34%. We'll talk about that when we get to the end. Let's start as we always do with the S&P 500 up 0.61%. See a green candle, a little bit higher as far as the peak goes from the prior week. Price percent oscillator still negative, derivative oscillator negative, getting close. Maybe it'll cross back over. Remember, we're in a bull market, so you will have pullbacks, but typically after that short-term pullback, things will move up again until the bull market ends. When you're in a bear market, it's the opposite. Things might go up for a while, but then they continue to trundle down. So we haven't come to an end of this bull market yet, and if the federal government just wants to continue printing money and the rest of the world will take it, then I guess we'll see things continue to inflate, including the value of real things like stocks in the stock market, real companies who do real business. So that's where we are as this week starts out. We look at the two-day chart. What do we see going on there? Well, you notice that this two-day candle is now complete again. Little higher on the peak than the prior week. Hasn't crossed over yet. Might do so by Wednesday. Why do we say Wednesday? Because it's a two-day candle and it takes 2 days since it finished drawing on Monday. Has to draw all the way Tuesday, and Wednesday might cross back over going up. Now that is not a recross because it'll be in the opposite direction of the weekly if indeed it goes up. If it bounces off and starts to go down again, might give you an opportunity to actually jump into a short trade. We'll see. Isn't happening yet. If you ask me what I expected, of course, it's heading up right now. It might do that, but it doesn't really matter what I think. It matters what the market does. And that's where things are right now. Derivative oscillator still negative. Price percent oscillator still negative, but heading up, getting close to a potential crossover going up. What's up on the half-day chart? Again, continuing to move up. See about readjusting our half-day trend a little bit. There we go. Again, moving up. Price percent oscillator kicking up a little higher. At the end of the day, derivative oscillator still losing momentum, but positive. So that's where we are on the S&P as the week starts. Now the Qs is up more. It's our biggest gainer for the day, just over 1%, 1.07 after 3 weeks of strong down movement. Of course, the strongest week was week number 2. What do we see happening here? Green open box candle, the first that we have seen since the prior 3 weeks of strong down movement. Price percent oscillator, though, still negative. Derivative oscillator, negative. And again, just pushing through that weekly trend line. Go to the 2-day. What do we see on that 2-day chart? Well, we can see a red open box spinning top. That's a slowdown in the up movement. Price percent oscillator, though, still negative. Derivative oscillator negative and losing downward momentum. That price percent oscillator is just about flat. We go to the half day. What do we see there? We see a little up in the morning, further up in the afternoon, still below that weekly trend line as far as the half day chart goes. Derivative oscillator, again, gaining upward momentum. Price percent oscillator, still positive, but losing some momentum. A devolution in the strength of that up movement is what that is still showing you after several days of strong up movement. So again, it's going to have to gain some more momentum. Remember, the derivative oscillator is a triple smooth version of the relative strength index, and it is our leading indicator. Again, our number one indicator, though, for movement in a trending market, and again, we have to have a market that's moving, is the price percent oscillator. So that's where we are. Things are potentially in transition on our stock charts when it comes to the S&P and the NASDAQ 100. Now let's move on to 20-year bonds. What do we see going on there? Up for the day, 0.59%. We had that two-day recross a couple of weeks ago. What do we see going on as we continue to watch movement? Well, we see, did I say a couple of weeks ago? No, it's about 6 weeks ago. We'll see that in a minute when we get to the two-day chart. It'll be easier to see. But what do we see going on with the weekly chart so far? Down, but not hitting the low that it hit the prior week. You can see the price percent oscillator losing some of its downward momentum, as is the derivative oscillator. Also, look at the two-day chart. You can see where, again, this two-day chart is where we see that down movement on Friday, because this two-day candle encompasses what? Friday and Monday. So we can see the price percent oscillator pushing over down. Derivative oscillator still losing downward momentum. Look at the half-day chart. That again is where we see that Friday down movement, and then opposite direction on Monday. Not much, 0.80%. Derivative oscillator still negative, gaining momentum. Price percent oscillator flat. So again, we'll watch and see how bonds continue to move as the week goes on. But going back to where that two-day recross going down was back on the 3rd of February. And of course, did quite well for us. Some of you may still be into that, and that's fine. Just pay attention, particularly to the price percent oscillator. And you can see that derivative oscillator might be getting close to crossing over, going up. And again, most important of all is where things are on that weekly chart. And again, things still moving down, just not hitting a lower low yet, but that price percent oscillator still has overall weight going down. Now let's go to gold, up 0.44%, our smallest up move for the day. Look how it starts the week off, though, with pretty much a doji, really not much movement at all. Price percent oscillator, though, flattening some. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. Dig a little deeper into that two-day, and you can see where we've got a doji there representing Friday and Monday. Derivative oscillator losing downward momentum. Price percent oscillator negative, but heading up ever so slowly. Half day, and again, it crossed over going up all the way back on the 9th. And again, took it a while to gain some momentum, dropped in the afternoon on Friday, and then, well, no, that was Friday morning dropped, and then up a little in the afternoon, and then up on Monday morning. Really not much in the afternoon on Monday. So we see that the derivative oscillator losing momentum, but that price percent oscillator still heading up. So we'll continue to watch and see. It has pushed through that two-day trend line back a few days ago. We noted that, and remember, we're in a two-day crossover back on the recross back on the 14th of January is when that occurred. We kept talking to you as things were moving about taking profits and continuing to follow gold, hoping at some point, well, it will bottom out at some point. When it does, we'll be ready to catch it on the rise up. That's where we are on our big charts. Let's lastly take a look at Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin doing? Down for the day 1.34%, as I said. We can see where the high was in the prior week at 56,852. 56,852. And what do we see happening, though? We saw this happening last week with the price percent oscillator. Again, trying to cross over going down, but it pulled back through, if you will recall this last week. Derivative oscillator still losing downward momentum. Continue to watch and see how things shape up. We go to the two-day chart. What do we see there? We can see where we hit a higher high, 56,852. Now again, things settled out, of course, lower than that. But that, of course, as we will show you, the half-day chart, and you'll see here in a minute. Price percent oscillator sliding sideways, derivative oscillator negative, losing downward momentum. And of course, on the half-day chart, that's where we hit the high, was at the end of the week on Friday. Things losing some momentum on Monday, still positive but heading down on that half-day chart. And again, two-day chart still negative, and this is the second week where we start the week off with the price percent oscillator on the weekly chart trying to cross over, going down. We'll see. Is Bitcoin going to pull back this week, or is it going to rev up, gain some energy, and then give us a two-day recross going up? Don't know. We'll wait, we'll watch, we'll see. God bless, my friends. That's where we are. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.